923. Khuddhaka JATAKA. Honor for honor, etc. This story the master told in JATAKA monastery, about a landed proprietor. Tradition has it that once a landowner who was a citizen of Shrivasti city did business with a landowner from the country. Taking his wife with him, he visited this man, his debtor. But the debtor ascertained that he could not pay. The other, in anger, set out for home without having broken his fast. On the road, some people met him. And seeing how famished the creature was, gave him food, asking him share it with his wife. When he got this, he grudged his wife a share. So addressing her he said, "Wife, this is a well-known haunt of thieves, so you had better go in front." Having thus got rid of her, he ate all the food, and then showed her the pot empty, saying, "Look here, wife. They gave me an empty pot." She guessed that he had eaten it all up himself, and was much annoyed. As they both passed by the monastery in JATAKA monastery, they thought they would go into the park and get a drink of water. There sat the master, waiting on purpose to see them, like a hunter on the trail, seated under the shade of his perfumed cell. He greeted them kindly, and said, "Lay sister, is your husband kind and loving?" "I love him, sir," she replied, "but he does not love me." Let alone other days, this very day he was given a pot of food on the way, and gave not a bit to me, but ate it all himself. "Lay sister, so it has always been you loving and kind, and he loveless. But when by the help of the wise he learns your worth, he will do you all honor." Then, at her request, he told an old world tale. On a time, while Brahmadatta was king in Benares, the bodhisattva was the son of one of the king's court. On coming of age he became the king's advisor in things worldly and spiritual. It happened that the king was afraid of his son, otherwise he might injure him, and sent him away. Taking his wife, the son departed from that city, and came to a village of Kasi, where he lived. In due course of time when the father died, his son hearing of it set out to go back to Benares. "That I may receive the kingdom which is my birthright," said he. On his way one gave him a portion of soup, saying, "Eat, and give to your wife also." But he gave her none, and did eat it all himself. Thought she a cruel man this, indeed. And she was full of sorrow. When he had come to Benares, and received his kingdom, he made her the queen wife. But thinking a little is enough for her, he showed her no other consideration or honor, not so much as to ask her how she did. This queen, thought the bodhisattva, serves the king well, and loves him. But the king spends not a thought upon her. I will make him show her respect and honor. So he came to the queen, and made salutation, and stood aside. "What is it, dear sir?" she asked. "Lady," he asked, "how can we serve you? Should you not give the old fathers a piece of cloth or a dish of rice?" "Dear sir, I never receive anything myself. What shall I give to you? When I received, did I not give? But now the king gives me nothing at all. Let alone giving anything else, as he was going along the road he received a bowl of rice, and never gave me a bit, he ate it all himself." "Well, madam, will you be able to say this in the king's presence?" "Yes," she replied. "Very well then. Today, when I stand before the king, when I ask my question, do you give the same answer? This very day will I make your goodness known." So the bodhisattva went on before, and stood in the king's presence. And she too went and stood near the king. Then said the bodhisattva, "Madam, you are very cruel. Should you not give the fathers a piece of cloth or a dish of food?" And she made answer, "Good sir, I myself receive nothing from the king. What can I give to you? Are you not the queen wife?" Said he. "Good sir," said she, "what boots the place of a queen wife, when no respect is paid? What will the king give me now? When he received a dish of rice on the road, he gave me none, but ate it all himself. And the bodhisattva asked him, "Is it so, O king?" And the king agreed. When the bodhisattva saw that the king agreed, "Then lady," said he, "why dwell here with the king after he has become unkindly? In the world, union without love is painful. While you dwell here, loveless union with the king will bring you sorrow. These folk honor him that honors, and when one honors not as soon as you see it, you should go elsewhere. They that dwell in the world are many." And he repeated the stanzas following. Honor for honor, love for love is due. Do good to him who does the same to you. Observance breeds observance. But it is plain none need help him who will not help again. Return neglect for negligence, nor stay to comfort him whose love is passed away. The world is wide. And when the birds ascertain that trees have lost their fruit, away they fly. Hearing this, the king gave his queen all honor. And from that time forward they lived together in friendship and harmony. When the master had ended this discourse, he explained the truths, and identified the birth. At the conclusion of the truths, the husband and wife entered on the fruit of the first path. The husband and wife are the same in both cases, and the wise advisor was I myself. JATAKA number 224. Khuddhaka JATAKA. O ape, etc. This story the master told at the bamboo grove, about Devdutta. O ape, these virtues four bring victory: truth, wisdom, self-control, and piety. Without these blessings is no victory: truth, wisdom, self-control, and piety. JATAKA number 225. Kantivanana JATAKA. There is a man, etc. This story the master told at JATAKA monastery, about the king of Kosala. A very useful subordinate intrigued in the harem. Even though he knew the culprit, the king swallowed the insult, because the fellow was useful, and told the master of it. The master said, "Other kings in days long gone by have done the same." And at his request, told the following story. Once upon a time, when Brahmadatta was king of Benares, a man of his court fell into an intrigue in the king's harem, and an attendant of this courtier did the same thing in the courtier's house. The man could not endure to be thus offended. So he led the other before the king, saying, "My lord, I have a servant who does all manner of work, and he has made me an object of derision as a husband of adulteress wife. What must I do with him?" And with the question he uttered this first verse following: "There is a man within my house, a zealous servant too. He has betrayed my trust, O king. Say, what am I to do?" On hearing this, the king uttered the second verse. "I too a zealous servant have. And here he stands, indeed. Good men, I think, are rare enough. So patience is my advice." The courtier saw that these words of the king were aimed at him, and for the future dared to do no wrong in the king's house. And the servant also, having come to know that the matter had been told to the king, dared for the future to do that thing no more. This discourse ended, the master identified the birth. I was the king of Benares. And the courtier on this occasion found out that the king had told of him to the master, and never did such a thing again. JATAKA number 226. Kosaya JATAKA. There is a time, etc. A story told by the master at JATAKA monastery, about the king of Kosala. This king started to subdue a border rising at a bad season of the year. The circumstances have been described already. The master as before told the king a story. Once upon a time, the king of Benares, having started for the field of war at an unseasonable time, set up a camp in his park. At that time an owl entered a thick vegetation of bamboos, and hid in it. There came a flock of crows. "We will catch him," said they, "so soon as he shall come out." And they compassed it around. Out he came before his time, nor did he wait until the sun should set, and tried to make his escape. The crows surrounded him, and pecked him with their beaks till he fell to the ground. The king asked the bodhisattva, "Tell me, wise sir, Why are the crows attacking this owl? And the bodhisattva made answer, they that leave their living before the right time, great king, fall into just such misery as this. Therefore before the time one should not leave one's living place. And to make the matter clear, he uttered this pair of verses. There is a time for everything. Who on from home will go one man or many, out of time, will surely meet some suffering. As did the owl, unlucky bird. Pecked dead by many a crow. Who masters quite each rule and right. Who others' weakness knows. Likewise owls, he will happy be, and conquer all his rivals. When the king heard this, he turned back home again. This discourse ended, the master identified the birth. Ananda was then the king, and the wise courtier was I myself. JATAKA number 227. Khuddhaka JATAKA. Well matched, etc. This story the master told while living at JATAKA monastery, about one of the brethren. There stood at that time, about 3/4 of a league from JATAKA monastery, a market town, where a great deal of rice was distributed by ticket, and special meals were given. Here lived an inquisitive lout, who pestered the young men and novices who came to share in the distribution, who are for solid food, who for drink, who for moist food. And he made those who could not answer feel ashamed, and they dreaded him so much that to that village they would not go. One day, a brother came to the ticket hall, with the question, any food for distribution in such and such a village, sir? Yes, friend, was the answer, but there's a lubber here asking questions. If you can't answer them, he abuses and insults you. He is such a pest that nobody will go near the place. Sir, said the other, give me an order on the place, and I'll humble him, and make him modest, and so influence him that whenever he sees you after this, he'll feel inclined to run away. The brothers agreed, and gave the necessary order. The man walked to our village, and at the gate of it he put on his robe. The loafer watched him, was at him like a mad ram, with answer me a question, elder monk. Layman, let me go first about the village for my broth, and then come back with it to the waiting hall. When he returned with his meal, the man repeated his question. The brother answered, leave me to finish my broth, to sweep the room, and to fetch my ticket's worth of rice. So he fetched the rice. Then placing his bowl in this very man's hands, he said, come, now I'll answer your question. Then he led him outside the village, folded his outer robe, put it on his shoulder, and taking the bowl from the other, stood waiting for him to begin. The man said, elder monk, answer me one question. Very well, so I will, said the brother. And with one blow he felled him to the ground. Bruised his eyes. Beat him, dropped filth in his face, and went off, with these parting words to frighten him, if ever again you ask a question of any brother who comes to this village, I'll see about it. After this, he took to his heels at the mere sight of a brother. In due course all this became known among the brotherhood. One day they were talking about it in the Hall of Truth. Friend, I hear that brother so and so dropped filth in the face of that loafer, and left him. The master came in, and wanted to know what they were all talking about as they sat there. They told him. Said he, brethren, this is not the first time this brother attacked the man with dirt, but he did just the same before. Then he told them an old world tale. Once upon a time, those citizens of the kingdoms of Anga and Magadha who were traveling from one land to the other, used to stay in a house on the marches of the two kingdoms, and there they drank liquor and ate the flesh of fishes, and early in the morning they yoked their carts and went away. At the time when they came, a certain dung beetle, led by the odor of dung, came to the place where they had drunken, and saw some liquor shed upon the ground, and for thirst he drank it, and returned to his lump of dung intoxicated. When he climbed upon it the moist dung gave way a little. The world cannot hear my weight, he bawled out. At that very instant a maddened elephant came to the spot, and smelling the dung went back in disgust. The beetle saw it. A creature, he thought, is afraid of me, and see how he runs away. I must fight with him. And so he challenged him in the first stanza. Well matched. For we are heroes both. Here let us issue try. Turn back, friend elephant. Why would you fear and fly? Let Magadha and Anga see how great our bravery. The elephant listened, and heard the voice. He turned back towards the beetle, and said the second stanza, by way of rebuke. Not the foot, not the trunk, nor the tusks I shall use, for you, only my dung and urine is enough. And so, dropping a great piece of dung upon him, and making water, he killed him then and there. And ran into the forest, trumpeting. When this discourse was ended, the master identified the birth. In those days, this lout was the dung beetle, the brother in question was the elephant, and I was the tree fairy who saw it all from that clump of trees.